Hello and welcome. This brief encounter is with a significant aspect of the Second World War called the final solution. We know that the Second World War began on September 1st in 1939 when Germany invaded Poland. We also know that at this time Germany was led by the National Socialist Workers' Party, also known as the Nazi Party, which was headed by Adolf Hitler. During the years of the war from 1939 to 1945, over 6 million Jews were murdered. The final solution was the code word for exterminating the Jews of Western Europe. Nazi Germany viewed Jews as people who belonged to a different race, as people whose origin was not the same as theirs, and who had characteristics, traits, and attributes that were negative and unchangeable. But the Nazi regime was not the first to dislike Jews, was not the first to be prejudiced against the Jews. Tension between Jews and Christians had existed since Christianity. Nazi Germany was not the first to persecute Jews. Dislike for the Jews had existed in Europe for a long time, and this dislike took two forms: anti-Jewish and anti-Semitism. Anti-Jewish is prejudice of or hatred towards Judaism, which is the Jewish religion. Anti-Semitism, on the other hand, is the belief that Jews possess a set of characteristics, traits, or attributes which are negative and unchangeable. This crowd believed that there was something in the inner nature of Jews which was different from their own. And that is what their prejudice and hatred towards the Jews was based on. Anti-Semites' dislike and hatred towards Jews is not based on religion. The Dreyfus affair, which unfolded in France, is a popular example of the anti-Semitic sentiment prevailing before the war and outside Germany. It was this anti-Semitism which lay at the root of Nazi Germany's policies towards Jews. The Nazi regime looked at Jews as an inferior race of people, as people who, though living in Germany, did not have German blood in their veins. In February 1920, Adolf Hitler announced the National Socialist Workers' Program. Since the program had 25 points, it was also called the 25-point program. The 25-point program stated how the ideal Nazi Germany would be created. Points 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 24 clearly state the status of Jews in the ideal Nazi Germany. Jews could not be citizens of Germany because they did not have German blood. Those who were not citizens of Germany would be living in the country as foreigners and would be subject to the laws of aliens. Jews could neither vote nor hold positions in office. Since the responsibility of feeding the population was the state's, Jews could be expelled from it if it came to it. And finally, Nazi Party would fight against the Jewish spirit within and without Germany, meaning inside Germany and outside Germany. When the Nazi Party came to power in 1933, one of the first steps it took was to exclude Jews from civil service, which included all teaching positions from grammar school to university, and even positions in the entertainment industry, concerts, theatre, opera, and as well public offices. This was just how it said in the 25-point program. And then in 1935, the Nuremberg Laws were issued. The Nuremberg Laws were a set of rules that dictated how the conduct would be between Germans who were considered to be pure Germans and Jews. The 25-point program and the Nuremberg Laws stated that the position of Jews living in Germany would change, and it did. They were reduced second-class citizens. Many of them left Germany. One such Jew was Hannah Arendt, who later became a popular academic figure in the United States. Excuse me, and even in the world. When the German Jews were leaving Germany, the government prepared immigration structures and procedures for them. This was the first solution: expulsion from Germany. But not all of them left the country. Then, on September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland and World War II began. Germany occupied Poland, and now all Polish Jews were under Nazi authority. Similarly, Jews of other countries which were occupied by Nazi Germany also came under Nazi authority because their countries were occupied by Nazi Germany. This was when the second solution of concentration was formed. All Jews, German, Polish, or belonging to any other country which was occupied by Germany during the war, were concentrated on allocated land. These were known as concentration camps. Now, these Jews could not remain in Europe because all of Western Europe had to be made Jew-free. That was when the Madagascar Plan was formed. The Madagascar Plan was that the Jews would be shipped off from Europe to the African island of Madagascar. But a year later, the plan was declared to be obsolete because the whole world was at war and shipping such a large number of people was impractical. So the Nazis could not ship the Jews. There was no land in Europe large enough where over 6 million Jews could be accommodated. And they definitely could not be on German territory, which not only consisted of German land, but also included other countries which Germany had occupied and was continuing to occupy during the war. So the only solution now was physical extermination, killing them. Did the Jews do anything? And if yes, what? For the longest time, it never occurred to anybody that 6 million Jews, or rather over 6 million Jews, could be gassed or shot. And when they realized that their reality was worse than any nightmare, well, I would like to quote Hannah Arendt here. There are many things considerably worse than death, and the SS saw to it that none of them was ever very far from the mind and imagination of their victims. In 1941, the Dutch Jews of the old Jewish quarter in Amsterdam dared to attack a German police detachment. 430 Jews were arrested in reprisal. They were first sent to Buchenwald and then to the Austrian camp of Mauthausen. Month after month, they died 1,000 deaths, and every single one of them would have envied his brethren in Auschwitz had he known about them. The glory of the uprising in the Warsaw Ghetto and the heroism of the few others lay precisely in their having refused the comparatively easy death that the Nazis offered them before the firing squad or in the gas chamber. The second question that comes to mind is, what was the world doing? Well, we are not the first to ask this question. Let's just say that the world did intervene. Why was it late? How could it not know? Those are questions that can only be answered in another video. Scholars argue that the Madagascar Plan was always meant to serve as a cloak under which the physical extermination of the Jews of Western Europe could be carried forward. And the great advantage of this plan was that it familiarized all concerned with the preliminary notion that nothing less than complete evacuation from Europe would do. No legislation, no dissimulation, no ghettos would suffice. When, a year later, the Madagascar Plan was scraped as obsolete, everybody was psychologically, or rather logically, prepared for the next step. Since there existed no territories to which one could evacuate, the only solution was extermination. The Nazi Party's policies towards the Jews was not the first time when a sentiment that had prevailed in society was brought into politics. It had happened before the Second World War, as the Dreyfus affair shows us. But the difference between the historical persecution of the Jews and what they suffered during the Second World War is that the Nazi regime aimed to find a solution to a problem, the problem of the Jewish question. And it did. A solution that turned out to be one of the most horrific events in modern history. Well, that brings us to the end of this brief encounter with the final solution. If you are interested in this subject, or if you are interested in knowing more about any particular aspect of this subject, please check out the references that I have listed in the description box below. And please understand, this was a condensation, a contraction of a lot of information. There is much more to the Second World War and even to Jewish history, even to Nazi Germany, than can be explained in a limited time. Please keep that in mind. I hope this was helpful. Do subscribe and thank you for watching.